Hello ladies and gentlemen, Panzer here, and welcome to Warhammer 40K Eternal Crusade. I almost got that name wrong. This is a game that's currently in closed alpha state, as they say, but it is also available on Steam Early Access, so how closed is the alpha? Yeah, you know what I mean. But it's a game that's not currently particularly finished yet, so you're gonna see a lot of things that are subject to change. You might see some placeholders, you might see some bugs, and in all honesty it probably runs like arse. So let's take a look at it and see what we're dealing with here. Alright, so I do have a character already created. We have these slots available, so we can actually just have a look at the character creator for now. We have the options of choosing Space Marines or Chaos Space Marines at the moment. For those not familiar with the Warhammer 40K universe, these are some of the particular factions that are available in that universe, but it's not by any means complete. So the Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines for the most part are these sort of human factions, and then of course there's the Imperial Guard and all of that, and it gets very, very messy very quick. But the point is, it currently only has the Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines, who are the two warring factions in this, and then of course Orcs and Eldar will be available later on. How they're going to play, I have no idea. But let's jump into this. We're going to go with the Chaos Space Marines this time. And I think we can go with probably the Word Bearers this time around. And these are the different chapters of the Space Marines. There are many different armies or sub-factions in the universe. So this is more of a flair thing. I think there might be some sub-faction specific things that might come out in future. I'm hoping there is, because I know in the lore there are things like that, but we'll get onto it. So we're just going to hopefully pick a name that's not taken. And we're going to jump straight into this. So currently there are a few different loadouts that we might be able to choose from once we get into it. So I think this is Freehand and Power Sword right there. This is Chainsword and Bolter. There's a Heavy Bolter. This is the, I guess, the Assault with a Power Axe there. And this is your standard Marine with a Bolter right here and a combat knife. So let's jump into battle. It will start trying to auto match us, and hopefully, yep, it's found one. That was actually pretty quick. So I'm quite looking forward to this, actually, because as far as I know, there hasn't really been a sort of Space Marine game since Warhammer 40K Space Marine. Which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed Space Marine as a game. It was an excellent third-person shooter, and it really captured what it's like as a Space Marine, because 40K started off as a tabletop with a lot of lore behind it, and then in the last decade or so has transitioned into video games. So it's been a difficult transition. There have been some games that have been particularly good, like the Dawn of War series, and then some games that are not so good, such as, well, basically most of the mobile games. Alright, so this is a sort of Battlefield style game. In fact, you're going to see a lot of similarities between this and PlanetSide 2. I wonder if they're running on the same sort of engine. I could be wrong about that, but it does run very similarly to that. So let's just pick a loadout, I think. Loadout number 2. I don't know what that is, actually. So we got two drop zones here, and I think we're actually on the losing side already. So let's drop straight into that and see what's what. Alright, so we are playing as a Devastator Marine, and that's the sort of heavy class. So you can see really heavy there. We do have a sprint function, but we are quite slow. In fact, you can see the time it takes to accelerate there. But Devastators are your heavy gun support type of unit. They're not really built for close combat, so I might actually be in the wrong place here for this. In fact, that's our melee attack there. You can zoom in with the middle mouse. And here we're actually mounted on the wall already, so you can actually brace the weapon against the wall there. And we're going to try and take a couple of shots down range and see what we can see. Oh, there's friendly fire. I don't know if we can even hit anything at this range, but there is something over there. So there is an automatic cover system. If we just take cover there, we can actually... Oh, there's a lot of things going on at the moment. I think we just had a grenade fired at us as well. So there's an enemy over there. We've got a couple of predators. A predator and a rhino in the area over here. We've got a friendly down over there. So this is basically a sort of domination style game mode where the basic premise is to... Oh, we're down. Okay, so we're going to hold space and bleed out faster, and we're going to switch to probably a different loadout, I think, for this. Let's go with that. I don't know which one that is. Oh, we'll go with the class that can capture objectives. I think that might be a little bit more useful for the team. So, those familiar with Battlefield or with... yeah, well, most basic FPS modes, actually. You'll notice this is a bit more like, sort of... I would say it's closer to... well... domination, actually, if you're talking in Call of Duty terms, or in fact most of the Battlefield maps, actually. So that's something to bear in mind there. I think we're being suppressed. So these are the areas that we're supposed to capture. And yeah, we got taken out pretty quickly there. I gotta say, the game doesn't look too bad for the current state that it's in. Oh, we're getting executed. And of course, the kills are suitably over the top, as you might expect from this sort of game. It wouldn't be 40K without the necessary overkill. There definitely wouldn't be. So I don't think we can really make any headway on this, on any of the particular objectives here. I think we might actually be shit out of luck now. I'm gonna try and go after this one, but I don't think we can actually do anything about that. Oh, got an assault marine on us. Yep. Going for the execute. Kill him! Kill him! Well, that didn't last long. But that is just the way of things, really. The way in which these sorts of games are played, and honestly, it's not any less fun for it. At least not in my view, anyway. I feel like this is something that should be happening. Now, one thing that I think they've nailed particularly well is the sound design. Just... in fact, the overall aesthetic is really coming together very nicely. There's sort of subtle screen shake, and just the rhythmic thudding of the Space Marine's boots against the ground. It really captures that sort of weighty feel of just exactly how heavy these Space Marines are meant to be. Something that that you definitely would find lacking in a lesser game. Take some shots down range at guy with a plasma gun over there. Oh, they've been stunned. And we're downed again. So, yeah, this is just one of those things that happens. That you can see the sort of rock, paper, scissors effect going on here, actually. Your tactical marines, which is your basic rifleman class, will In fact, most of these sort of ranged classes will be countered by close combat, such as you can see these assault marines jumping around with their packs. In fact, this guy over here with a shield. Gonna roll out of the way there. I'm trying to get away from him. Let our armor recharge. So we do have a health bar there in the bottom left, and we also have a shield bar or an armor bar, which functions pretty much as you would expect. It's just like the shields in games like Halo, Destiny, and so on. It takes the damage for you, and then it recharges after. But as I was saying, the sort of rock, paper, scissors effect. So most range classes will be countered by close combat, and close combat is countered by things like vehicles, because they can't really do much against vehicles. And then vehicles will be countered again by heavy ranged units. So there is that sort of countering. At this stage, I wouldn't say that the balance is particularly done yet. I mean, I don't find any of the classes to be particularly overpowered. I mean, you can still be kind of killed regardless. But it is very early days, so there could be some classes that are undoubtedly more powerful than others without really any obvious counter. So that could be a thing that's possible. I will say there are also... The way they've set up the classes is kind of interesting, because the different factions will very obviously have different classes entirely. For example, the Space Marines have access to the Apothecary, who is able to heal others. Oh, I was going to revive him, but he died. It functions basically as a medic. And I believe the Chaos Space Marines have an equivalent, but I can't see the Orcs or the Eldar having something that's a direct equivalent of that. So they could function very differently. But again, this is something that's entirely speculative, because that thing is not out yet. So we're currently holed up over here trying to defend A and hoping that another squad takes up B, and I don't see that happening, frankly. I really, really don't see that happening. Alright, we've got a tactical marine flying around in here. Or an assault marine, rather. So they've got these little booster packs that sort of allow them to jump around. Now you might think that, oh no, if you're not familiar with 40K's lore, that, well, there's these little nozzles on the back of my armor. Shouldn't I be able to fly around like that? Well, no, that's actually a power pack. That's not a jump pack. So it really does require a little bit of understanding of the 40K. Oh gosh. Yep, physics are definitely something that needs work for now. It's not complete yet, for sure. But yeah, I think he's trying to heal me. Yes, he is. There we go. So as I was saying about the medics, there's one right there. Very nicely healing me. So yeah, you do need a little bit of understanding of 40K lore to really make sense of how or why things are the way they are. But if to just play it, it's requires no understanding whatsoever, really. I'm gonna try to get them up there, get you up there. So, in most cases when you are killed, there is a down state. And that's where you're able to execute enemies or revive allies. But in some cases, the damage you take is enough to kill you immediately, and you can still be hit while down. So that's another thing as well. Which, it's something that's absent from a lot of multiplayer shooters. I know Battlefield is one that's notable for having that in most cases, but there are some cases where you can be instantly killed as well. I do believe there is a heavy shooting at me, so I will back off there. I did want to actually revive him, but I don't think I can do that. I think this is one of the most chaotic matches I've had, no pun intended. I mean, I'm playing as the Chaos at the moment. But, it isn't always like this. There are some matches where you're defending a point and literally nothing seems to happen. I don't think... Oh, I can hit him. I can land some shots on him. The main thing about fighting close combat units such as the Assault Marines is that you just don't want to let them get close to you. That's the main thing. And I like that they've thought about this as well. If you're shooting, you get this sort of narrow field of view. So it allows you to see your targets much clearer, but at the same time, you're not, just dodge out of the way there. Nope. So I managed to take out one of the Assault Marines that came in, but the guy with the shield is just not somebody that you can just simply gun down. Yeah, he's gonna finish me off there. Alright, so this right here is the vehicle spawner, and he's not going to wait for me. So this is where you're able to spawn a certain number of vehicles, and you do have the transports and the tanks. The tanks, of course, being the Predator tanks, and the transports being the Rhinos. So we can spawn in a Rhino, which will, of course, adopt our faction color, and we can take on other players. In fact, the UI looks identical to the one in PlanetSide 2 at the moment, so it's what prompted me to decide that this might actually be based on the same engine. Now, these vehicles do have a cooldown, so unlike how they used to work in PlanetSide, where you would have a certain number of resources, the way it works in Eternal Crusade at the moment is you have a cooldown, and certain vehicles will have longer cooldowns than others. I think somebody over here might need our help. No? Okay. I think we have a grenade as well, so I'm gonna throw that in there. Oh, let's get into cover. No, I believe I'm stuck. That is rather unfortunate. Got pinned between the Rhino and the wall there by a teammate. There is friendly fire in this, so that's definitely not good. And of course the Rhino will perform the role of spawn point, a mobile spawn point for the squad that you're in. Now, there is also a progression system in this game. As you notice, I am gaining XP for kills and for performing actions such as that. I want to execute you. Nice camera angle there. But you do get additional XP for doing that, and a few invisibility frames, or invincibility frames rather, which will definitely assist you with that. No time for the execute. Got to finish him off there. And there was no way we'd survive against two Assault Marines there. But you can just see how quickly, despite all the armor, how quickly they go down. And I believe that's an apothecary there, which is the team's medic, attempting to execute me. But somehow glitching out and not actually getting the animation. So, of course, this game is in a very early state, but I'm really enjoying it so far. It's reaching about 30 frames per second on my machine. Occasionally dropping to about 25. Bearing in mind I'm running a very old i7 and a single 970, but the game is far from complete, so that will definitely explain a lot of the issues we have with optimization right now. And I believe that's an enemy. That's the only tricky part, of course, is that Chaos Space Marines and normal Space Marines, and I know the actual fans are going to hate me for saying it, but they look very, very similar at a glance. So if you don't know what you're looking for, it's very easy to kind of miss them. After all, Blood Angels are red, and the Word Bearers are red too, so yeah, you're really gonna have that kind of difficulty. But I'm gonna leave that one there, so hopefully this gives you a good idea of what it is at this current stage. There isn't a lot to it yet. I'm gonna just cancel that before we get into another match. And if you're a 40k fan, if you're a fan of the first Space Marine game, I highly recommend that you keep an eye on this one. If you're not too keen on early access games, definitely just keep an eye on this. I won't recommend that everybody buys an early access game. I mean, that's not something I really enjoy doing either because of the sort of state of early access on Steam at the moment. But this shows great potential to be a very, very good 40k game, which is something that we've not had for a long time. Now, I like the series. I won't profess to be a master of the lore or anything like that, but this is something that I can definitely get into. So, if you're like me, keep an eye on this one. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Panzer taking a look at Warhammer 40k Eternal Crusade. It's available on Steam Early Access right now, and do take a look at it. And I'll see you next time.